seperti ini ya, the hare and the tortoise. Jangan jadi seperti the hare, di mana kepengen sesuatu, punya cita-cita besar, dan kepengen segera tercapai itu ngebut. Itu bakalan bisa stres, jadi terlalu fokus pada achievement. Saya pernah berada di level itu dan stresnya bukan main. Tapi kita punya cita-cita yang besar, kita punya goal, dengan cara everyday getting better. Jadi setiap hari itu ada yang diperbaiki. M-Trade gak bagus, jelek banget. Kalau saya ingat, saya malu sendiri.
Tapi setiap hari ada prospek yang jauh lebih baik meskipun dikit gitu ya.
Betul, jadi setiap hari kita mencoba untuk mendengarkan permintaan dari user apa, kita coba perbaiki, speednya dibagusin dan seterusnya. Itu akhirnya kita step by step getting better. Demikian pula di keluarga juga, saya nggak bilang bahwa sebagai perempuan ya, di keluarga tuh saya sempurna, enggak. Jadi pasti ada naik turunnya, di awal mau balancing my life juga nggak mudah, kayak dulu mau balance tuh susah gitu. Tapi lama-lama saya mulai mengerti tentang ilmu, ini pentingnya pergaulan. Saya belajar dari Pak Tung Desem Waringin, diajarin menyusun prioritas, bahwa kita nggak harus kasih waktu yang banyak banget, tapi ketika kita bersama dengan mereka itu full attention, full time, being present gitu. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, ketika mengatur waktu, jangan atur berdasarkan jadwal, tapi atur berdasarkan prioritas dulu. Sebagai contoh, kita mau hubungan dengan keluarga membaik gitu ya, berarti misalkan make time, jadi saya khususkan hari Minggu family gitu, jadi nggak ada event atau apa gitu. Nah, jadi mungkin teman-teman bisa start dari menyusun prioritas dulu, baru prioritas yang paling besar, baru kemudian dari hal yang kecil-kecil dilengkapin gitu.
Apa prioritas paling besar dari Miss Ellen?
Prioritas paling besar dari saya untuk jangka panjang sampai masa tua, sampai akhir hidup saya ingin being loved gitu aja, being loved, dan kemudian dicintai dan juga bertumbuh. Karena kalau saya nggak bertumbuh, saya merasa kayak stres. Tapi kalau cuma fokus pada achievement atau growth, itu hidup akan kesepian. Jadi being loved and growth, dulu saya cuma fokus pada growth, pada achievement, sehingga akhirnya kayak merasa, kok saya nggak happy ya, apa yang salah gitu, saya nggak dekat dengan anak, dengan suami. Akhirnya setelah saya belajar tentang seni mengatur prioritas, dan tentunya belajar tentang cara berkomunikasi, saya merasa hidup saya lebih balance, lebih happy. Dan di sini ketika saya sharing dengan orang pun, orang bisa lihat kayak bawainnya juga santai gitu. Terus di tim, leadership di tim tuh juga happy, semua bisa merasakan gitu.
Baik, jadi lebih ke seni untuk memilih mana yang prioritas. Dan satu hal lagi yang saya pelajari tadi adalah mulai saja dulu, tapi tidak sampai di situ, harus bisa mengukur resiko. Itu kadang yang orang lupa, hanya memulai tapi tidak bisa mengukur resiko. Sukses selalu untuk Miss Ellen dan juga IM Trade, dan semoga makin jaya untuk pasar modal Indonesia. Terima kasih atas waktunya Miss Ellen, dan sampai berjumpa kembali.
Profit, bye.
Pemirsa IDX Channel, demikian perbincangan bersama dengan Ellen May. Beliau ini adalah founder dari IM Trade. Mungkin sebagian dari kalian sudah tahu begitu ya. Dan beliau ini merupakan pakar pasar modal handal juga. Dan semoga ini bisa menginspirasi bagi kehidupan, portofolio maupun juga karir Anda. Saya Prisa Samudatu, pamit undur diri. Sampai berjumpa kembali di episode selanjutnya.
After a spike in COVID-19 cases, Indonesia will soon to apply in emergency measures, so-called as emergency PPKM. Indonesia Sukses International will share dividend of 15.08 billion. Good evening, viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of informations from business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Wicky Adrian. This is Market Headlines. In order to stem the spread of COVID-19, President Joko Widodo has officially implemented an emergency PPKM until 20th July 2021 in Java and Bali.
Memutuskan diberlakukannya PPKM darurat.
In the latest official statement, President Joko Widodo stated that the government has officially implemented an emergency PPKM. The emergency PPKM will take effect from 3 up to 20 July 2021 in Java and Bali.
Setelah mendapatkan banyak masukan dari para menteri, para ahli kesehatan, dan juga para kepala daerah, saya memutuskan untuk memberlakukan PPKM darurat sejak tanggal 3 Juli hingga 20 Juli 2021, khusus di Jawa dan Bali. PPKM darurat ini akan meliputi pembatasan aktivitas masyarakat yang lebih ketat daripada yang selama ini sudah berlaku.
The President said that this was a decisive step in stemming the spread of COVID-19. Jokowi ensured that the emergency PPKM would be stricter than the previous restrictions. The details of the rules will be under the coordination of the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Luhut Panjaitan. IDX Channel reports.
The government, through the COVID-19 task force, plans to reduce the operating hours of shopping or retail centers due to emergency PPKM. Indonesian Retail Association predicts that retail sales will drop around 40%.
Indonesia Retail Association raised its concern about government's decision to implement an emergency PPKM from July 3rd to July 20, 2021, specifically in Java and Bali. Even though the chairman of association, Raimonde, agreed on the decisions to curb COVID-19 cases, but he cannot deny the fact that the retail sector will suffer even more. From the last 15 months, Aprindo has suffered around 20% drop in sales.
Kami sudah hampir 15 bulan ini sudah kebal terhadap yang namanya tidak produktif, atau dalam kata to the point-nya adalah mengalami kerugian. Ya, kita sudah mengalami kerugian, ya, artinya produktivitas rendah, sementara kos atau biaya tetap tinggi atau tetap harus berjalan. Bahkan dana cadangan sudah kita pakai, sehingga ada beberapa yang harus juga mengambil langkah kebijakan strategis, menutup ya gerai dan juga ya mengalihkan bagi masih gerai yang masih bisa berproduksi. Nah, jadi kondisi kalau ditanya potensi kerugian jelas saat 2 minggu terakhir saja kita sudah turun, itu angka penjualan kita itu sudah antara sekitar 15-20%.
In smaller scale, so-called as micro PPKM, retail sales have dropped around 20%. Therefore, it is predicted that emergency PPKM, which is stricter, will make retail sectors could drop even further to 40%.
Dapat diperkirakan bila 2 minggu ke depan akan diberlakukan PPKM darurat, maka di bulan Juli ini kita bisa tergerus lebih dari 40%. Dan itu sudah suatu kenyataan yang seperti kita alami tahun lalu ketika lockdown di bulan April, Mei tahun 2020. Tetapi jelas kan kita lihat juga COVID-nya juga tidak hilang. Jadi kembali lagi, protokol kesehatan yang ketat dan super ketat dan juga pengawasan dan penegakan sanksi dan hukum ini sangat-sangat penting.
Previously, President Joko Widodo said that the emergency PPKM will include restrictions on community activities that are stricter than those that have been in effect, both micro PPKM and PSBB, and therefore it is predicted that the retail will suffer deeper loss. From Jakarta, Adi Firmansyah, IDX Channel.
After a series of inflation, Indonesia recorded deflation in June 2021. Statistik Indonesia stated that deflation was 0.16% on monthly basis. June deflation hit 0.16 on monthly basis, while it was 1.33% on yearly basis. June deflation is the first deflation during 2021. However, the price movement is not much different than last year, as it was stated by the head of Statistik Indonesia, Margo Yuwono. Margo then elaborated the details. Based on expenditure groups, deflation was mainly driven by several groups, one of which was the food, beverage, and tobacco group, which experienced deflation of 0.71% monthly basis, with contribution of 0.18%.
Pada bulan Juni ini terjadi deflasi sebesar 0,16%. Dengan demikian, maka terjadi inflasi di tahun kalender itu sebesar 0,74% dan juga inflasi tahunannya menjadi 1,33%.
And now moving on to global update, Turkey halts flights from 6 countries over new COVID-19 variants.
Turkey has halted flights and all direct travel from 6 countries, said the Interior Ministry announced on Monday. The ministry stated that the recent escalations in COVID-19 cases in certain countries due to new variants lead to the decision. Flights have been suspended from Bangladesh, Brazil, South Africa, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka as of July 1st until further notice. Those arriving from other destinations but have been in the countries listed within the last 14 days will need to show a negative PCR test taken within a maximum of 72 hours before entry and will be required to quarantine for 14 days. President Vladimir Putin told Russians to get vaccinated against COVID-19 amid a wave of cases, and said for the first time that he had received Russia's Sputnik V shot. This week, Moscow began to offer the one-dose Sputnik Light shot to some millions of migrants that work in the city. The $18 cost of the vaccine will be charged to their employers. The World Bank announced to boost available funding for COVID-19 vaccine purchases and deployment to $20 billion from previous target of $12 billion. The purchase and development of COVID-19 vaccines is for 51 developing countries, half of which are in Africa. More than half financing comes from the International Development Associations, the bank's fund for the world's poorest countries, and is on the grant on highly concessional terms. This financing is part of World Bank commitment to help low and middle-income countries acquire and distribute vaccines and strengthen their health systems. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Wednesday launched his country's national transport and logistics strategy. The comprehensive program aims to position the kingdom as a global logistic hub connecting three continents and improve all transport services in support of Saudi Vision 2030. Crown Prince Mohammed has been spearheading a push for Saudi Arabia to boost non-oil revenues to about $12 billion by 2030. IDX Channel reported.
Market Headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Nonton UEFA Euro 2020 gratis. Dapat cashback 100%. Cukup buka rekening online di Motion Banking hingga 30 September 2021. Buruan langganan sekarang. Hanya 99.000 bisa nonton semua pertandingan dan bonus jutaan rupiah. Nonton UEFA Euro 2020 gratis. Hanya di tempatnya Gila Bola, MNC Vision, K-Vision, dan MNC Play.
Hai Sobat Investor, kalian ingin tetap bisa menabung meskipun keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit? Dengerin tips berikut ini ya. Kita masuk ke tips yang pertama ya. Nah, yang pertama, kalian harus memenuhi semua kebutuhan rutin kalian terlebih dahulu nih. Barulah setelah itu kalian bisa mengalokasikan pendapatan kalian untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pelengkap lainnya. Kita masuk ke tips yang kedua ya Sobat Investor. Jadi penting sekali bagi kalian untuk menutup hutang sesuai dengan kemampuan kalian. Selain itu, kalian juga perlu menentukan utang mana yang harus kalian dahulukan untuk dilunasi. Selain itu, penting juga untuk selalu menyesuaikan dengan uang tunai yang kalian miliki. Tips selanjutnya yaitu tips yang ketiga. Jadi kalian penting sekali untuk menekan biaya bulanan nih Sobat Investor. Jadi kalian juga memang harus memangkas kebutuhan yang memang sifatnya hanya pelengkap saja. Dan penting sekali bagi kalian untuk mempertahankan biaya bulanan yang sifatnya memang untuk kebutuhan utama kalian. Tips yang keempat terkait dengan pengelolaan aset. Jadi jika ternyata penghasilan yang kalian miliki ini tidak bisa menutup kebutuhan kalian, maka kalian bisa mempertimbangkan untuk menjual aset yang kalian miliki. Tips yang kelima, jangan lupa sisihkan sekitar 10% dari penghasilan kalian untuk ditabung di tiap bulannya. Dan saat keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit, tidak menjadi alasan untuk gagal mencapai impian. Jangan lupa ya, harus selalu rajin dan juga disiplin dalam menabung Sobat Investor.
Welcome back. Indonesian government finally decided to impose stricter restrictions to battle a second wave of coronavirus infections. The planned new measures, called Emergency PPKM, would likely cover Java and Bali.
Indonesian government finally decided to impose stricter restrictions to battle a second wave of coronavirus infections, driven by the more transmissible Delta variant. The planned new measures, called Emergency PPKM, would likely cover Java and Bali. President Joko Widodo has appointed Coordinating Maritime Affairs and Investment Minister Luhut Panjaitan as the PPKM Emergency Coordinator for Java and Bali. The ministry's spokesman, Jody Mahardi, said in a statement, but he did not provide a time frame on the announcement. The latest measures may require all workers in non-essential sectors to work from home and ban dining in at restaurants. Currently, 25% of a company's employees in the red zones are allowed to work from office, and restaurants can operate at 25% capacity. IDX Channel reports.
The government has taken a decisive step. Through official statement, the President announced the implementation of emergency restrictions, or called as Emergency PPKM. And how is the implementation of these restrictions? Let's examine it further in the next graphic. This is the main points of Emergency Micro PPKM implemented in Java and Bali, covering 121 districts and cities, effective on 3rd July to 20th July 2021, and target additional cases of less than 10,000 per day, and led by the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment. President Joko Widodo has officially imposed an emergency PPKM which will be effective from 3rd to 20th July 2021 in Java and Bali. This decision was taken after getting input from ministers, health experts, and regional heads. The president ensured that the emergency PPKM will be stricter than the previous restrictions. And what kind of restrictions will be applied? Let's check it on the next graphic. This is the implementation of emergency micro PPKM. Shopping centers and malls temporarily closed. Supermarkets, traditional markets operate until 8 p.m. The restaurant only accepts takeaway and delivery services, and tourist attractions and public areas are temporarily closed. Work from home 100% for non-essential sectors, and maximum capacity of public transportation as much as 70%. And restrictions also include arts and culture, sport, social activities, and other activities that can cause crowds are temporarily closed. Emergency PPKM will cover 121 districts or cities. One of the objectives of the emergency PPKM is to reduce the addition of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia. And so, how big is the increase in daily cases in Indonesia? Let's check the data on the next graphic. This is a trend from June 25th to June 30th. In June 25th, the daily positive cases of COVID-19 as much as 18,872 cases. The number keeps on increasing until 27 June to the number of 21,300 cases. The number going down or went down from 28 to 29, and by 30th June, it was on the level of 21,807 cases. The Red Cross said that the Delta variant is driving Indonesia closer to the edge of COVID-19 catastrophe. The government is not only implementing various restrictions, but also trying to boost 3T, testing, tracing, and treatment. And let's check on the details on the next graphic. These are the strategies of government to improve 3T. In testing, increased to a minimum of 1 per 1,000 population per week until the positivity rate drops to only 5%. Meantime, for the tracing, the strategy is that increased to less than 15 close contacts per confirmed case, and the treatment is performed comprehensively. Only patients with moderate, severe, and critical symptoms are admitted to the hospital. And not only testing, Indonesia's vaccination rate is also low, where only about 13 million Indonesians, or 4.8% of the population, have been fully vaccinated. Regarding this, Indonesia must continue to increase its vaccination rate, and this has been stated by President Joko Widodo, who targets to vaccinate 1 million people per day in July and 2 million people in August. And hopefully the emergency PPKM will deliver a huge results, especially in stemming the COVID-19 spreads and suppress the positive cases day by day. Stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.
Awali hari Anda dengan beragam informasi bisnis terkini yang kami kemas dalam berita teraktual dan berkualitas. News Screen Morning menyajikan informasi ekonomi, bisnis, dan keuangan. News Screen Evening mengulas seputar ekonomi makro dan mikro, fiskal, moneter, dan sektorial Indonesia. Market Headline menayangkan berita ekonomi dan bisnis dalam bahasa Inggris.
Indonesia receive.
Saksikan program-program berita ekonomi dan bisnis terkini langsung dari sumbernya, live hanya di IDX Channel. Your Trustworthy Economic, Business, and Capital Market Channel.
Kunci dari kesuksesan hulu migas Indonesia ke depan ini apa, Pak?
Fleksibilitas fiskal yang akan dikeluarkan untuk menjaga keekonomian. Investor akan datang itu saja.
Oke, Pak.
Keekonomiannya terjamin.
And we're on the last segment at the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement earlier today. JCI was open at the level of 6,001.12 and approaching the closing time on the first session. The index was on the level of 5,980.04. Then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,005.95. In short, JCI went up 0.34%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got health as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.92%. Non-cyclic went up 1.87%. And we got infrastructure as the leader of the weakening trend that went down 1.04%. And basic went down 0.18%. Moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. AGII went up 18.73% to level 1,585 per share. Astra International went up 1.72% to the level of 5,025 per share. IRA went up 16.43% to the level of 2,090 per share. And INDF went up 6.07% to the level of 6,550 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Telkom went down 1.27% to the level of 3,110 rupiah per share. Agro went down 3.86% to the level of 1,870 rupiah per share. And BRIS went down 0.87% to the level of 2,280 rupiah per share. And TBIG went down 0.62% to the level of 3,190 rupiah per share. And we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,537 rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar. Was closed at the level of 14,537. In summary, rupiah went down 0.51%. Indica Energy will acquire 72% Nusantara Resources Limited shares through a scheme of agreement, a transaction worth 58.8 million Australia dollar.
Indica Energy will buy up the shares of Nusantara Resources Limited, the company managing the Awak Mas gold mine in Luwu, South Sulawesi, through a scheme of arrangement. President Director of Indica Energy Arshad Rashid say the corporate action was a strategic step for the company to increase exposure in the gold mining sector and strengthen the company's business diversification. Indica Energy will pay 0.35 Australia dollar per share, bringing the transaction total to 58.8 million Australia dollar for an approximately 72% stake in Nusantara. As is known, Indica Energy through Indica Mineral Investindo currently owns about 28% of the shares in Nusantara and has a direct share ownership in Masmindo, which manages the gold mine of Awak Mas as much as 25%. IDX Channel reports.
Medical equipment distributor Itama Rano Raya projects company sales to grow by 100% in 2021.
Supported by increased sales in 2020, Itama Rano Raya is optimistic that sales to grow to 100% this year. Meanwhile, this target is also in line with the increase in company sales last year, given that in 2020 the company sales jumped 100.13% year-on-year. Meanwhile, the company managed to record impressive performance growth in the first quarter of this year. It was noted that company's operating income increased by 754.1% from 26.71 billion in the first quarter of 2020 to 228.16 billion rupiah. According to the finance director Pratoto Raharjo, the company's strategy through penetration into the retail sales segment is claimed to have succeeded in boosting sales this year. For this year, the company is undergoing a business transformation to enter the medical device manufacturing segment. The step was taken through the acquisition of Wanjak Indonesia. IDX Channel reports.
Indomobil Sukses International will share dividend of 15.08 billion even though the company suffered loss in last year.
Indomobil Sukses International will distribute dividends even though last year companies recorded a net loss. The company will distribute a total dividend of 15.98 billion rupiah and will be rolled out in July 30, 2021. This dividend distribution has obtained shareholder approval at the annual general meeting of shareholders, whereas each shareholders will receive a dividend of 4 rupiah a stock. Dividend will not come from the profit but the retained earning balance. Indomobil will pay the dividend from the retained earnings balance of 128 billion rupiah at the end of 2020. This is because Indomobil recorded a net loss of 545 billion last year. IDX Channel reported.
Step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role in current economic situation, and here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market lines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, Your Trustworthy Economic, Business and Capital Market Channel. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, keep protecting your family by following the health protocols, wearing face masks, keep your distance, and stay away from crowds, and wash your hands through running water. And also continue to support the vaccination program to accelerate the creation of herd immunity. And I'm Wicky Adrian. Have a nice evening and stay safe.